everybody's got a chance when the game starts. But at the same time, we're realistic. So, I told our guys that I truly believe there's 5 football games that we have a chance that if we play well, we don't have injuries. Injuries is going to be a big key for us this year to stay healthy. But there's 5 football games on our schedule that if we stay healthy and we do what we're supposed to do, we're going to have a chance in those games. And then it's up to us to make the play to determine that outcome. But now as far as Fife and the other top 4 teams in our region, we're realistic. But what we want to do is we want to go into those games, and I tell our kids, hey, win as many plays as you can one-on-one so that we can build from that.
How many total players you out this year?
Well, that's to be determined.
Okay. When school starts, you'll know, right?
And the reason I say that is simply because of the fact that, at a small school and
Brinley
us not
Mountain's
having,
similar,
and not having as many upperclassmen, we got a lot of younger kids
Right.
that we don't know if they can get rides there or not. And so
Right.
we're probably going to end up between, right now I think we have 20 varsity players with 2 or 3 8th graders that's going to play with us, but I'm hoping to dress 25 to 28.
Right. And you're Jacob, right? Fullback, and Gavin, the quarterback?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty big. Did y'all play JV last year? Okay. Are you a little bit nervous about being some of the leaders on the team? I know Dante's a senior, he said, but being so young, is that a little nerve-wracking going in? Or
It
is it
definitely is,
yeah.
yeah. The first few plays of the first game of the season, it's definitely nerve-wracking, but you get used to it after a little bit.
Well, you won't be getting the snap from center, but still, you'll be getting the ball a lot, it sounds like.
We've been doing it since our 8th grade year,
Yeah.
so it's kind of just, we're kind of used to it,
Right.
but it is still nerve-wracking a little
Yeah.
bit.
All right, thank you.
Dante, as a leader of this football team, coming back as one of the only seniors, a lot on your shoulders. Talk about your leadership for this young team this year.
Honestly, I don't really think of it as a leadership because we all put in our part to do what we can, make sure our team does everything we need to do, and practice hard, play hard.
Coach, I was out there last year, I guess, by the stadium. I guess it's the second year that you played in the new stadium.
Last year
Last
was the
year, second year. How important was that to get that facility for the football program?
I want to say that it's phenomenal because, before I got, the year before I got to Asbury was their first year to have the actual stadium. It was our, so technically we've had the football field for 3 years now. This will be our 4th season there. But we finally got everything going as far as our locker rooms and stuff. We're really excited about what it is. I mean, there's been people that's come from, the different opponents we've had, and they're like, Coach, this is one of the nicest little setups, facilities around. And, I think one thing that we can say is until we get caught up with the Joneses and, the Fifes of the world, or even to the middle of the pack of our region because of how good it actually is. I think the one thing that we can do is we can say that, look, we do have one of the best facilities around, and we take pride in it. And I think these kids are starting to really enjoy and call it home.
Anybody with any other questions this morning?
Coach, sorry if you were asked this already. Just expectations going into the year for you, for this team, just Asbury in general.
Well, I think the number one expectation is the fact that I want us to play with confidence. I want us to play with heart and character, but more importantly, I want us to play with class. I think the big thing that you can do as far as a football team is, regardless of the outcome, you can play the game with integrity, you can play it with class, you can play it with discipline. And I think once you learn to do that, you can become more successful. And I think that we have some personnel now that can put us in situations. We talked about Dante, and he's very selfless. You would ask him about being a leader, and he don't like to consider himself a leader. He just does his job. And so to me, that's one of the things that I love about him. And I try to tell the kids all the time, look, our seniors don't talk very much at all. but they work their tails off. So I've told these underclassmen, I said, look, when they speak, you need to shut your mouth and listen, because apparently they do have something important to say. But Dante, I think last year was around 700, 715 yards rushing, really wanting to push him towards 1,000. These two right here, I'd like for them to, be close to 500 or 600 apiece, because we really want to establish the run. And for us in the region, and you had just asked this earlier, Jeff, about, how do we cope with the region? You've asked us about how difficult it is. We want to shorten the game as much as we possibly can. And being able to run the football is going to do that, and therefore that's going to help us, obviously, on the defensive side of the ball, too, because it's going to keep our defense off the field.
I want to ask the guys, all three of you, what does it mean for you that Coach Williams asked you to come today to the media day to represent your football team? If you'd all answer that, please.
It definitely does feel good. It shows that he noticed us putting in work on the off season, so definitely feels good.
It means a good bit because, like, he's got, like I said, the 3 other seniors that he could choose from, but it just feels good that, he watches everybody else on his team and he looks, who to look at, so.
I'm honestly honored because out of all the people he's chosen, especially as seniors on our team or starters or anyone else, he picked us 3. The 3 that will follow him for the rest of our seasons, I guess to say.
Anybody else with a question this morning for folks from Asbury? All right, Coach, thanks a lot. Thanks, guys, for coming this morning, and I think you open with Gaston here at home in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir. 3 weeks from tomorrow.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
You this morning with Brinley Mountain and Coach Keith Garner, known Coach a long time. I believe 19 years for you,
Long.
or 20.
Long. Yes,
It's,
sir. Yes.
sixth season at Brinley Mountain. And, Coach, would you introduce the guys with you this morning and then give us a preview on the lines for 2021?
I sure will. To my right here, we got a young man that's a sophomore, Ian Garner, no relation. When he does something good on the field, I might pull that out of the hat and use it. but he's a sophomore quarterback. And then here we've got Caleb Scott, senior tight end, split end, and really do it all for us. Punter, kicker, maybe, possibly, and all-around team captain. And then down on my far left is a young coach coming up, just getting started with us. He's actually a Brinley Mountain guy, raised up in the school system when it started, and Caleb London is a guy that's really involved with all these kids, and he's going to be one of the reasons why you see a little bit of improvement out of Brinley Mountain this year. Yeah, it's we're excited, and I'll tell you this time last year, when they had put the clamps on us not coming up to the school in our normal format, we might get 5 or 6 kids coming in to work out and get my hands on them, and gosh, when they started school even later, well into football season, it really threw us in a tailspin. And I'll be honest with you, we sat in that office day after day wondering how in the world we were going to recover, how we were going to get kids, and how we were going to be ready to tee a football up and play. And then lo and behold, we get ready for that first ball game, scrambling around, and we find out one of our guys, his entire family at home had the virus, and he had been coming back up, and he wanted to play. He's really a good guy, a great leader, but he did not want to sit himself out of football. And so we find out about that, and we get into this thing of, well, we got to shut it down. You know, at that point, going into game one, we didn't know if we all had it, nobody had it, or somewhere in between. So to make a long story somewhat shorter, things are much better this summer. And we've had about 20 kids consistently, and for us, that's good. And you can see a change happening. You can feel the difference being around the kids. For the first time in several years, we've actually got Pee Wee football started, and that's going to be a big drive in the long-term development. And development is the key word at Brinley Mountain. Development's been a struggle. Development takes consistency, day after day, year after year, playing the game you love. And at Brinley Mountain, it's been a revolving door where kids come in, kids leave. Principals come in, they leave. Coaches come in, they leave. And we feel like we've got some stability now. And these guys are prime examples. They've been playing since I've been there. And Caleb right here, and he's really blossomed. He's the typical senior that when he starts out playing as a 9th and 10th grader, he's getting his butt kicked, to put it bluntly, on Friday nights. And it's been that way for a while. And as he's developed, we saw it in the spring, it just became a different person. And that's, you see these guys doing it. Now, believe it or not, he's still a young guy. He won't turn 18 until after he graduates. So he's got a lot of, his best football's ahead of him. And what I'm saying is, for Brinley Mountain, our best football is ahead of us. And we're starting to piece things together. The pieces of the puzzle are starting to come together, and we're excited. And I will say this. Let me throw this in about Coach London to my left. This young guy is also a youth pastor in the area. And I really, a little over a year ago, he was working in a hospital in Huntsville, and he came out and wanted to volunteer coach. And I could see immediately the relationships that he formed and how well he worked with kids. And, you know, it's a, you know that old saying, rules without relationships, what that'll get you. And so he has come in. It's been a big plus. Evan Lemon's another Brinley Mountain guy that's been around, an educator. Has been a big plus. We've been able to get him a little more involved with us. And two, you know, Caleb's in his early 20s. Evan, I would say, is in his late 20s, as a guess. And, you know, they crank up that crazy music they listen to now. And I can't understand a word of it, and sometimes I don't want to understand. And I keep walking through. I walk through the weight room. I don't want to be held down to what I might hear. So, but they love it, and we're excited. And I'm telling you, as coaches, we'll sit around and now, instead of shaking our heads left and right, now we're nodding our heads at the end of the day, saying, you know what, we've got a chance. And that's all we need is just a chance.
Well, Coach, obviously you and I are not in our 20s, but let me ask you. You mentioned 20. You mentioned 20 players been working this summer. How many do you expect to field on that first Friday night when you play Holly Pond? How many starters do you have returning? Can you give us your squad size? Last year at this time you had 6 seniors and 12 juniors. Have all those juniors moved up to seniors this year?
No, they have not. And it's the typical Brinley story. It's you know, there are kids coming up you expect to be there and stay there and grow, and for one reason or another, they may turn to one sport and say they want to specialize, and that's all fine and good, but we should have 30 kids when we play that opening night. And I looked over the numbers today, and I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 or 8 freshmen, maybe 12 to 13 sophomores. We've got a really small junior class of 3 or 4, and then we've got 6 or 7 seniors. But now that's a little misleading. Out of those 6 or 7 seniors, 4 or so have not played before. So they've waited until their senior year to come out. Obviously, that's not what you want, but here at Brinley, we'll take it.
Coach London is a full-time staff?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
no.
absolutely.
And you have one other assistant? Donnie?
Well, and Coach Stevens, Donnie Stevens,
Right.
is with us, and so Mark Franklin is another young guy that was with the junior high last year, and we're gonna have to combine our roles and work them together, and be creative, be very process oriented, very much be smart in how we do things.
You're expecting 30. You had like 55 total out for spring, including junior high?
Yeah,
middle school?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right, including junior high. So we're looking for 20 kids to hang on, 20 to 25 in the junior high, and a 30 at our level,
Okay.
and so that'll be about right.
That's significantly better than last year.
It's better. And I'm here to tell you that situation with COVID last year, and then backing school up into 2 weeks of the football season, that really hurt us. We have, yeah, that's right. We have to have those buses running to get everybody there.
Coach, over here to your left, good to see you
Boaz,
again.
good to
First
see
of all, I'm
you.
looking forward to talking with you this fall.
Yeah.
First of all, a couple of questions, one for you, one for the players. First of all, you mentioned the Pee Wee program. That's something that Brinley Mountain has not had, and I don't know that it's ever had it. So what are you looking forward to that to kind of be a booster tonight? Obviously, it's not going to necessarily affect this year per se, but the program long term. And also for your guys, you're here today at Media Day. Your coach obviously thinks highly of you. What do you guys expect as leaders of yourselves? How do you expect to affect the team this year? So, Coach, we'll get you to start and then go with the kids.
Let me say this, and it's it's a big step. I believe they had Pee Wee football back 7 or 8 years ago, and they ran into a problem with money. Imagine that. And so, believe it or not, I'm going to give you a number. And first of all you guys out there are going to think I'm lying when I tell you this. Now, not that I've not ever stretched the truth before, but this is an honest number. Rocky Nepper is running that thing, and he's doing a great job overseeing it. And we've got 74 kids making up 3 Pee Wee teams. I didn't know we had that many boys in the Brinley Mountain area. And I had been digging into it back early last spring and kept wondering, how do we start it? What do we do? And come to find out, we've had kids going up to Arab and playing in their league. And I thought, you're kidding me. And I talked with Rocky, and he's he confirmed it, and one thing led to another, and we've got this ball rolling. Now they play their jamboree on August 14th there at Brinley, and he's had to go around. And for those of you that don't realize it, getting your hands on any kind of equipment, anything at all, is backed up. We're all hurting for whatever we need. And so he's gone around to different towns and picked up helmets. And so that Brinley Mountain Pee Wee team will be there strong on that August 14th, starting it all over again. Boy, it's going to be an exciting time. But you'll look out there and you'll see a blue helmet, a gold helmet, a white helmet. Might see a red thrown in there, and that's okay. We'll always remember that started it. So, and I would imagine, knowing these guys, you're going to have to repeat that question to them.
What's it going to be like for you guys being here? Coach obviously thinks highly of you as leaders. What do you guys expect not only for yourself, but how you can affect the other team this year?
You go first.
I mean, I guess just like being the leader I need to be, and being an example to my team on and off the field. You got anything?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of improvements in everybody, and they highly look up to Scott and all the coaches around. They respect all the coaches. They've improved. I feel like they're all going to work this year for what we want to earn. Just if they keep working, we can do it.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot. Thanks to you and the players coming this morning to Media Day. I know you open against, I believe, Holly Pond at home on the 20th. We wish you the best for the 2021 season, and thanks for coming this morning.
I appreciate you, and actually, because of the COVID cancellations, we're going to have to be on the road and go back to where we canceled. We'll actually play our first 6 games on the road. October 1st, we come home. So, and that'll be fine. That'll be okay. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
With the Douglas Eagles and Coach Brandon Lyles starting his second year at his alma mater.
Yes, sir.
Coach, would you introduce the guys that are with you this morning and give us an outlook on the Douglas Eagles for this season?
Yes, sir. Over here to my left is Will Bishop, going to be a junior, plays O-line and D-line for us. Over here right beside me is Reagan Edmondson, going to be a senior, plays wide receiver and safety for us. To my right is Jonathan Fontaine, going to be a junior, plays running back and linebacker. And to his right is Jeremy Dobbs, going to be a senior, plays O-line and D-line. As far as going forward, we're very excited to get started. These kids have been working really, really hard in the offseason. Really, as soon as we got done with our last game, was able to get some momentum going forward in the weight room. And that's kind of where this whole thing has started. These young men knew they need to get stronger, and just seeing our just numbers go up from what they were last year has just been very impressive because these kids just grinded and worked every day. So we're very excited to get started.
Okay, Coach, you talk about numbers going up. I'm assuming you mean in the weight room, but talk about the numbers for the football team. Last year, I believe when we talked to you, I think you had like 2 seniors on the team or something.
Yes, sir. We had 2 seniors. When we started this spring, I had around 77 kids out. And then obviously when you go into a summer, you would love to keep that many out. But, you know, working hard every day, we've kind of dwindled down about 50 kids, 45 to 50 kids showing up. There may be some younger kids come back out when we start school. But, you know, as far as the ones that's been there, it's been a consistent group of kids. And not only, you know, last year I think during the summer, I think we had on a great day was 15 to 20 kids. And wasn't a whole lot of practicing we could do other than just go lift. And we got a little bit of stuff as far as big picture stuff installed last year. But, you know, now we're working out and we're going out and practicing. We're able to do individual stuff with the coaching staff we have right now. And I'm very excited about, you know, what we're doing going forward. I think it's around 50, 55, somewhere around there. Like I said, we may have a few more come out when the school starts.
Coach, every year, it seems like I think coaches come out of one season and heading into the offseason with some questions about what's going to not only take place, but before even you step on the field, what questions might you have about this team moving forward? What have you maybe gotten answered? And what are you still looking for, not only out of these 4 guys that you've got here, but your team as well?
Yes, sir. I really wanted to see leadership going forward, and I feel like we've answered that throughout the offseason. Kids getting older, getting more mature, and just kind of learning how to be leaders. I think last year these kids were just trying to figure their way out. They were young. We were a young football team. Like Jeff said, we had 2 seniors that didn't get to play much, and so these kids were just trying to feel their way out. Going forward, I want to see how physical of a football team we can be. I feel like from a football mental side of it, we've gotten there. We understand what to do on both sides of the ball a little bit better. But I want to see when we put the pads on if we're going to be a physical football team, because you can win 7-on-7s, you can go out there and throw the football around, but when the pads come on, we're going to see who's going to be, you know, physical. So.
I'll ask the players. You got 4 guys up there. I know they're all leaders of the football team. Guys, have you seen a difference in the attitude? I want all 4 of you to answer this. Have you seen a difference in the attitude of your teammates? I know you got off to a great start last year. I think you won your first 3 and had everybody in Douglas excited. Then you fell into that tough regional schedule. And it takes work to get there, to get against that competition. Have you seen the other guys putting in the work and with you guys looking forward to a new season?
Well, this year, you know, last year we had a we want to win mentality going into the season, and this year I think a lot of guys are going into the season with a we can't lose mentality. That's one thing I've noticed that has changed, and I hope we keep that going up through into the season.
I can't really say much. My first year playing high school football, but I did go to every football game, so Like, we would get down by a lot. People would, like, put their heads down, wouldn't pick it up. But there's leaders on the team now, so it's getting better. We're getting there.
I feel like last year what hurt us a lot is we was so young. The mentality just wasn't there. We had a lot of freshmen playing on the offensive line, on the defensive side of the ball, and sophomores in the backfield and as a receiver group. But this year, we've all kind of matured a lot. We've gotten in the weight room. We've realized that you've got to hit the weight room just as much as you do practice on the field to be a strong football team. I feel like this year going in, we have a lot more leaders on the team. We have a lot more players stepping up, and we're going to surprise some teams this year.
I think that we have a better attitude than last year, and we're mentally there.
Coach, I know the guy sitting on, I guess, your left there was outstanding basketball player. I think he was all-state basketball player. How important is it to you to get a basketball player as outstanding as he is to play? And I know other kids are going to see him play, and hopefully they'll want to join the football team.
Well, obviously you look at him, you can tell he's an outstanding athlete. We were very fortunate. You know, we went into it my first couple of days. I went and tried to talk to the basketball kids because usually, you know, those are your athletes and stuff. I went and talked to them and tried to get a few of them out and just stayed on them. And being able to get him out, you know, not just from a football standpoint, but just from a community standpoint, understanding that you can play more than one sport and be successful. And what I've been impressed with Reagan about more so than just his athletic ability is he shows up every day and he works just like everybody else does. He doesn't ask for any kind of special attention, and he's one of our harder workers. And it's been very impressive to see. And this kid's going to be successful in whatever sport he decides to do in the future.
Coach, a few years back, you're on the staff at Albertville under Cliff Mitchell. Fast forward a few years, he's on your staff helping out with the quarterbacks. At least that's what I'm told. As far as that goes, adding a guy like him with that kind of experience, how beneficial is that to this football team?
Oh, it's been unreal. It's funny how things kind of work out, you know, but I felt like we hit a home run, not just from a coaching staff standpoint, but from a community standpoint as far as getting Cliff back with us. Somebody that knows Douglas through and through, grew up there, played there. You know, and Cliff's not just your really good coach. You know, he is a great coach, but he's also one of the better men that I know, one of my best friends. But just as far as I feel like the kids love him, and I feel like the kids want to do good for him. He's always positive. He's always pushing these kids, but he has knowledge of the game. And, you know, he's going to help quarterbacks, but he's also really helping us a lot in the passing game stuff too. And, you know, that has made a difference. I felt like last year we were, I don't want to say one-dimensional to an extent, but with our wing tee type stuff we did, we were limited in our passing game. We've been able to expand on that a whole lot, and that's helping us, you know, just because at times we can't play in a phone booth. We're going to have to spread people out and get them out and still be able to run the football. I still want to run the football, but be able to take shots when we can. And Cliff has definitely helped us with that.
Coach, they mentioned earlier you guys got off to a good start last year and tapered off as the season went along, but it was with a young roster. How do you learn from that, both as coaches and players, and apply that to this year to hopefully get you guys over the hump in those games?
Yes, sir. I started 6 freshmen last year, and I don't know how many sophomores. There was a ton of them. I think we had, at the time, maybe 4 juniors that was contributing pretty heavily. So we started out 3-0, and, you know, people start wanting to pat you on the back, and I just kind of told them to hold on a second, you know, because our depth really hurt us going towards the back end of the season. You couldn't afford to lose anybody is where we were. And we can't afford to lose anybody now, but I feel like we have a lot more depth. Our freshman class that's coming in has been very successful, and they're going to provide depth. Plus you upgrade, being able to get 7 to 8 new kids that didn't play last year. I remember the Glencoe game we were playing, and we're going into the fourth quarter. We go into overtime, and I'm turning around to look to try to put somebody in on the D-line to give us a little more depth, and there's nobody else. So, you know, I think getting more depth is definitely helping us. Getting stronger in the weight room is definitely going to help us. So we're excited about this year for sure.
I got one more question for the players, and I usually ask this to all the players that come in. Coach picked you today to come to media day, to be before the media today, to be on the cameras. How important is that to you, and what does that mean to you to represent your football team?
Well, I'm glad that, Coach sees me as a leader and sees the rest of these guys as leaders, and I'm excited to see what we can do these next couple of years underneath his leadership, and I'm excited to see what we can do these next couple of years with these guys coming up, and I'm glad. Well,
shows that we're the leaders of the football team. Guys look up to us, So there's not really much to say about it.
I'm kind of glad Coach picked us because we're four of the top guys on the team. Not gonna say we're the absolute best, because there's some guys on the team that can really play that aren't here today. But I'm glad that Coach knows that when the going gets tough, we're gonna be on the field lifting people's heads up, telling them, hey, it's not over. It's one play. Go to the next play. So I'm really glad Coach chose us.
I feel honored that he chose me as a leader. I appreciate it.
Anybody with another question this morning for the Douglas Eagles? All right, Coach, thanks a lot for coming. Thank you guys for coming with Coach this morning. I believe you're on the road at Weaver.
Yes, sir.
On the 20th to open up the season.
And we appreciate what you guys do. These last 2 years have been unbelievable. I think as far as just exposure to these kids in our community and our program, it's been very beneficial to us. And yeah, as far as Weaver's concerned, they're going to be much improved. People want to talk, down about it a little bit, but we're going to have to be ready to play. And especially on the road, we talked about it actually yesterday. I don't know, as far as road games, as far as Douglas is concerned, winning many road games in the last several years. So we're going to have to be ready to play up there.
Yeah, with a new coach down at Weaver, too. All right, thanks a lot, Douglas Eagles. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
All right, we'll continue this morning with the DAR Patriots and Coach Hunter Holland. I think he brought his football team with him. That's great. It's good to see you guys this morning. Coach Holland, I said he's back. 7 years, I think, for DAR, and then you've been off 7 years, right? So he's back. Are you going to stay for 7 years now? 7, 7, and 7. All right, Coach Hunter Holland and the DAR Patriots. Introduce your guys, Coach, and give us an outlook for the season.
All right. Well, like I said, I brought 6 with me today. We've got Cam Lindsey. We've got Tyler Darling. We've got Robert McCamey. We've got Cam Kendrick here. We've got Buck Harden and Elio Salazar. So these are my guys I brought with me. They've been working hard. We're actually straight off the practice field. We're actually in practice now. We started Monday. We didn't have a spring, so we got to start a week early. So we're literally coming straight off the practice field, straight to here. So we 4 really good days. We've been hitting it wide open, and we're installing. And so, like I said, do I need to speak up? Am I good? What is the mic on? Pull it to me. How's that? Sorry, guys. Do I need to start over? I'm good. So, anyways, it's great to be back. Got fresh energy. Like I said, been out of it for a little while, but I'm back, and we're excited to get this thing started. And we've been working really hard. These seniors, I've got 13 seniors this year, so that's good. That's always good for DAR when we have that many seniors coming back, and they've all played a lot of football. So, like I said, looking forward to the season. Got a tough schedule as usual, but that's something we're used to. And like I said, it's going to be a challenge, but we're looking forward to it. So, if you guys got any questions, I'm going to turn it loose.
Coach, first of all, got a couple. What made you want to come back after 7 years away? And then talk about your numbers. You said 13 seniors. Talk about the numbers for your football team. Are they where you would like them to be?
Okay. Well, to answer the question, coming back was just simple. The opportunity came about. Wasn't expecting it, but it did come about. And it's one of those things that the first go around, I was really young, and it was trying to get the program established. And I didn't, I guess, probably enjoy it as much as I should have. And the second go around, I've been determined that I'm going to enjoy it more, and I'm going to have fun with it. The administration wanted me to take it back over. I knew I had a great group of seniors coming back and a good foundation to work with. And so the timing was just right. It was right for me to get back in it. My kids, my own children, are older now, and so I'm not needed at home as much as I was. Because that was really the first go-around why I got out of it was just I had small children at home, and my wife and my kids needed me back home. And so it's just worked out to where I'm in the back half of my career now where I have more time to dedicate to it. And so, like I said, it was just about timing, and just the right situation came about for me to be able to come back in. As far as our numbers, 13 seniors, 7 juniors, 16 sophomore, and a handful of freshmen. We're waiting on those numbers to come in because obviously school not starting, those numbers will go up. But overall, numbers are where I like them. If we can have 40 kids out, it's kind of been the number that DAR has needed to have to be successful. But I always would like more. I always could use more kids coming out. But, we try to aim for 10 per grade, and that's kind of where we've been. So,
Coach, I know you weren't the head coach last year. Coach Poole was. How many of these guys started for you? How many starters do you have coming back on the team this year?
Okay, well, pretty much all these guys, we have all these guys started last year. So we're able to have quite a few starters back on offense and defense. I would say, probably 8 to 9 starters looks like on offense, and probably 7 to 8 back on defense. So we've got a lot of experience coming back. Now, we've got a lot of kids playing both ways. Again, that's just something we're used to at DAR, like a lot of schools are. But, we're trying to add depth, trying to build depth. We do have a sophomore class that's pretty strong that's allowing us to try to get as many kids as we can play in just one way. But, we will have a handful of kids going both ways.
Hey, Coach, right here. As far as your expectations go, you said you're the second head coach in program history. You helped to lay that foundation. I'm sure expectations from then changed to now going into this season. What are realistic expectations you have now taking over this program?
Okay, well, even when I started it, and I was one of the original coaches from day one and have been with the program, and I've been at DAR for 21 years now. And it's always been to get this program established and competitive and where we're contending for a playoff spot every year. And that's the goal every year, and that's what it was when we first started it. Jumping into 4A with the region that we're in, it's tough. It has not been easy from going back to when we started in 05 and got in region play in 06. It's been a tough schedule every year. But with that being said, the goal is always winning seasons, making the playoffs, and that will always be the goal of what we're trying to get accomplished there and sustain it, and just be competitive year in, year out.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask, with so many guys that you brought with you, I know that it's a big deal for you to be able to have numbers at DAR. Walk us through just how encouraged you've been the last couple of years and a couple of cycles of guys kind of seeing a little bit of success, playoff appearances, seeing where the program was when you were there, a couple of coaches, and now having the opportunity to kind of continue to build the Patriot program.
Exactly. You know, it's one of those that success breeds success. And the more success you can have on Friday night, the more enticing it is for young players to want to come out and play. And what you guys have to realize is, with this being a new program, this school was started in 1924, so you've got this school established, and then you bring football in, and so there's no parents, there's no dads that have the background of playing football. Now, yes, we've had people move in, but if you graduated from DAR, you know, you did not get to play football. So we are still, my guys, 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, 10, all those first groups of guys, their kids now are in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. I have not gotten the kids back where their dads have played. And so we're still a new program in that sense. And so with that being said, you know, it is a challenge every year to try to get that 10, 12, 13, 14 kids out per grade that we're wanting to, that you need to have, especially at a 4A level. So we're still building. It still is a young program in that sense, and that we're trying to establish tradition. We're still in that phase of trying to establish tradition, and where we've got parents that have played and they understand the process. So we're getting there. But like I said, it's still a struggle in some grades to get the 10 to 12 that we need out every year, but we're getting there.
Coach, I want to make sure I got this clear. You were on the first DAR football staff 21 years ago?
Yes, I was the original. I'm one of the original coaches, and in 05, and then was the head coach. Took over in 07.
07.
Through 14.
And you took off 7 years. Were you completely out of coaching or just out of football?
Completely out of coaching.
Just teaching?
Completely out of coaching. Just teaching.
Just teaching.
Just teaching.
Okay.
Still at DAR, though.
Coach, congratulations on getting back, too. I want to know, you've been away for 7 years, and football has changed so much. Are you going to keep the same philosophy offensively that you had before, or are you going to fine-tune things?
Well, we're fine-tuning it. It still is the original philosophy of triple option, okay, football. But we are adding elements to the pass game that, I think are going to help this ball club, and adding some things that they've been doing, and trying to use some of the same terminology that they've been using in the past. But but no, to answer your question, like I said, it's going to be, a run first offense, and that's what we're going to establish, and try to use the offense as a defense, clock control, ball control, and trying to keep the offense on the field. My mentality, that's when I took over. I told him, I said, now, 4th and short, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, we're going for it. We're going to try to keep the ball away from the offense, other teams' offenses, and try to help the defense out, that way.
Well, that's good. I love that style of football. And when I was doing radio at Scottsboro, I enjoyed that veer option. It was fun to watch and very entertaining.
Obviously, that's where I'm from, and I played in that offense, and that's where that background comes from.
Well, this is for the guys, okay? Y'all had a lot of distractions last year with the COVID and all that going on. This year, do you have a lot different frame of mind, knowing that you really just got to concentrate on football, other than the heat we're having now? But mainly it's just football now. Does that make you feel a whole lot better about things and really looking forward to the football season?
To answer your question, I think we have been able to focus on football a lot more. It's been easier, like you said, not having to deal with all the rumors about, if we were even going to have a season or not, so we've been able to just have our mind on football, and having a new coach and everything, we've been adjusting. So I think it's been helping us understand what he's trying to tell us, and helps him understand what we're trying to explain to him as well.
Coach, over here on your left, you had talked about it. I'll ask two questions. I'll ask one, let you answer it. But you mentioned not having a spring, getting the extra week of fall. I know that's something that the AHSAA implemented this year because of COVID. I don't know what their rules are going to be going forward, what their decisions are going to be, but is that something that you would rather have, is that extra week, or would you rather have the spring?
I would rather have this first week in summer, or the last week of July, than the spring training. Spring training has gotten so difficult, especially for smaller schools where we're sharing kids in other sports between track, baseball. It has become very difficult to have a meaningful spring, if you know what I mean. It's hard to have a spring training in the traditional sense of what what we normally think about. So I'm hoping that they allow this to be the norm, and that you can decide if you want to have a spring training in May, go ahead, or if you want to wait and have this extra week at the end of July. So, like I said, for us, like I said, we're practicing this week, and it's of course, it's hot, but for me in our situation, especially this year with all the install that's going on, it's worked out pretty good, and I hope that the Alabama High School Athletic Association will allow schools to choose what they want to do on that.
And finally, I don't know how up-to-date this schedule is that I've got, but you open at Fairview, then you get your bye week very early in the year. Is that something that was planned, and do you prefer to have it there? I know some coaches like to manipulate that bye week.
I would not. I did not have anything to do with the schedule, so this is the schedule I inherited. But no, I typically, that's not ideal. I would rather have it week 5 in the middle of the season. But actually, with this situation for this year, for us, it's going to allow us, because we have a jamboree against Sylvania on the 12th, and then we play Fairview. So I'm going to have 2 games to kind of gather some intel on what's working, what's not, what these kids can do, and what they're good, what they're going to be able to excel at, and kind of do some game planning. So that week off will help me going into region play, try to make some adjustments. So.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot for being with us. You guys for coming this morning to Media Day. As Adam said, you open up against Fairview in a couple of weeks now, 2 weeks from Friday night. So I'm looking forward to football season. I know you guys are. So thanks a lot. Thanks for coming, and good luck to the Patriots.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
We're going to continue with Marshall County Media Day. The Albertville Aggies are on stage, and Coach Chip English, his first year with the Aggies. Coach, would you introduce the 4 guys you've brought and give us an outlook on the season for Albertville this year?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having us. This is exciting for the players and for our program to be able to kind of get in front of the media a little bit and kind of kind of tell you what we're about and how things are going to hopefully go this year. I brought all seniors, Javinci Dorival, senior wide receiver. He'll do big things for us this year. Tristan Golden, a linebacker. Will Kitchens and Carter Jenkins, all seniors, offense, defensive lineman, wide receiver, and defensive back. So these 4 guys are guys that kind of laid the groundwork for what we've been doing over the spring and over the summer. So very excited about what they're going to do. And we're big believers at Albertville of understanding and trusting the process. So we've been doing that. We've been working very hard this spring and summer to hopefully make all of our dreams come true and to give ourselves an opportunity. And with that process, with that hard work, you can be hopeful.
Coach, talk about the energy that you brought to the program coming in from Grissom to Albertville. What have you seen from, because there's 2 programs that's almost kind of identical when you took over Grissom, then coming to Albertville. Talk about that transition for yourself and this team.
Well, one, the transition's been great. For me personally and my family, Albertville's been just a dream come true for what the town represents from the top down, and we've been welcomed with open arms, and my kids have transitioned well. My wife is excited about being here. So for us, the transition was great. When you talk about bringing energy, I did bring a spark, but really the energy comes from these guys. They've done a great job all spring and summer of kind of owning it. I tell them all the time, I'm going to be coaching for the next 25 years. They're going to be playing football for the next 1, 2, 3, and 4 years. So it's their team. I'm just kind of laying the blueprint for them, and they're running with it, and I'm really excited about it. How are you?
Yeah, I was just going to use my voice, but can everyone hear me? Good. Oh, perfect. I'm going to piggyback off what Jeff said. When you come into a program, you obviously are deciding to make a transition for some of the reasons that you
Sure.
believe it can win. I want to ask you just, what were just some of the reasons what made Albertville attractive to you as a program, what it was, what it is, and what it could be?
Sure. So one, I'll be very transparent as a head football coach. Every single year, and if any coach tells you otherwise, they are lying. Every single year, they're going to look at the job postings and see what's opening. All right. And as a professional and as a family man, they would be silly not to do that. And so at the end of the year, typically when you have a good season, your name is a little bit hot. And so I started to look a little bit and seeing what's out there. When we came down and played Albertville, obviously it was a good night for where I was, but I saw special things with the community, with the stadium, with the administration and what they're trying to do. And so it was an attractive job. And the more and more I get to know people around the state, because I'm relatively new to the state, the more respected and respect that I find Albertville has. And so obviously having great conversations with Dr. English and Mr. Phillips and that staff, it was the right move for me and my family, and I still believe that wholeheartedly right now. So.
This is for the players. Guys, Coach obviously thinks highly of you to bring you here to Media Day, your leaders on the football team. First of all, what does that mean to you? And second, coming off of what is a disappointing season last year, are you guys using that as motivation heading into this season, or are you throwing that out and saying it's a brand new start here at Albertville?
I'm Tristan Golden. Last season, I didn't play last season, so I'm coming back for a fresh start this year for my senior season. And but seeing 2-8, it's obviously not the result you want. So we've just been working all summer to kind of bring a new thing to the table this year. So.
Any words?
I'm just trying to use it as motivation to make sure. No one likes that feeling of going in 2-8, and so I'm just trying to make sure we can do everything we can to not be back in that spot.
It's a question for the players as well. Grissom, when he took over, was in a similar situation. They hadn't won a game in, I think, 2 or 3 seasons. He came in, turned the program around. I'm sure he's looking to do the same for you guys. How long did it take you guys to buy into his philosophy and everything he's about? I know you haven't played a game under him yet, but what has the spring and sort of the fall been like so far for you guys?
It's been pretty good. You can definitely tell a difference between the energy and all the positive stuff that's been going on. And I think the spring game kind of just kicked it off for everybody. I think we got everybody on track, and I think it's going to be a pretty good year.
I'm on Carter's side with what he's saying. Ever since Coach came, it's been more intense. More people been buying into it. Everybody been playing a good part, playing their part right. So I say if everybody sticking to what they gotta do instead of doing other things, then we could probably have a better season than last season and stuff.
Coach, this is for you and the players. From the moment you were hired, you emphasized the weight room and that. And about the time you were hired, the school brought in Kai Wen, who has really big experience in strength and conditioning at a Division I football level. Mm-hmm. How much has that helped you and the players as well? How much has that helped you guys prepare for where you're at right now?
Yeah, so having a full-time strength and conditioning coach for Albertville High School has been incredible. What we're trying to do is make it as much college atmosphere as possible. What does colleges have? They have a full-time strength staff that takes care of the weight room, and Kai does a great job for us in there, and he brings in a wealth of knowledge from being at Texas, being at Auburn, being at Millsap, those places, and so he develops programs for us that maximizes our potential and opportunity. And obviously, myself and Coach Reeves and other coaches are in there every day encouraging the guys, but when we're able to bring multiple variables to the table, whether it be energy, whether it be the strength and conditioning side of it, or community or administration willing to, monetarily, put forth effort. And so, when you have all those variables come together, you're going to have a good season, or it gives you the opportunity to have a good season, I should say. And so we're really excited about everybody involved, our whole coaching staff, and including Coach Wynn.
Coach, of course, last year was the big deal at this particular event was how many seniors Albertville had and how they were excited about it. I know you said you brought 4 seniors, all seniors, but how many seniors total do you have?
We're right around 23 right now.
Still?
Yeah. So.
And how many total players?
Total, we're right around 100. And honestly, that is a great number for me. I would love to have between 100 and 115. So we're right on the mark. Football's not for everybody. And what we put these guys through in the spring and the summer are very, very tough. And that's not for everybody. Some people want to feel sorry for themselves. Some people don't flat out don't want to work hard. But a week ago when we ran 20 100-yard sprints on a Friday afternoon when nobody else in the state was working, that proves to me that these guys are buying in, and the ones that I do have are ready to go.
Coach, listen, I know you want to get one game under your belt, but what this job brings at Albertville, it's a big topic of conversation year-round. It's about playing Gunnersville, beating Gunnersville. How quickly or how long did it take you to figure out that rivalry? It's, I think, the oldest in the state of Alabama, and just what that's all about.
Yeah, so one, I'm glad you came down today. I'm good to see you again. 2, everybody we play on our schedule, the cliche thing to say as a coach is, hey, everything matters. But obviously there's certain games on your schedule that brings a little bit more attention, and Gunnersville's one of those games. And so we're preparing for them. They're at the end of the season, so we're not necessarily looking ahead yet. But they'll definitely have an asterisk by that on the schedule. And that's the glory of football, right? That's high school football. You want that rivalry. In every place I've been, we've had a big rivalry. And to my understanding, I'm learning the history of Albertville football, and Gunnersville has always been a rival and a great opponent, and we're excited about that opportunity, and we want everybody in Albertville and in Gunnersville to come out and see what happens on the last week of the season.
Coach Rocco talked about Gunnersville. I'll talk about ARAB because you open against ARAB, I believe, 2 weeks from tonight.
It's close.
Yeah, it's
the
19th.
The
19th,
yeah.
2 weeks, or maybe 3 weeks, 3 weeks. The strengths of this football team going into that game, and what will we see different from a Chip English Albertville team than a previous Albertville team?
Well, one, our guys are going to be very excited to play, and I try to explain to them all the time, there's a process in place, and really they have to fall in love with the process 95% of their athletic career is in preparation. It's not the actual game. So when you love the 95%, the other 5% take care of itself. And so these guys have done that. They understand. Us as a coaching staff at Albertville, we try to be very transparent. Why are we doing something? We're running for this. We're doing this drill to directly correlate to this opportunity or position you're going to be out on the field. And so when you do that, the kids, there's an understanding. And when the kids understand, I have found as a head coach, they seem to respond better and perform better when they understand the ins and outs of the game. It also allows them to be more savvy football players of why we're doing this and when we need to go hard and how we play and the situations and all that kind of stuff. So, to speak on past teams, I'm not qualified to do that. What I'm going to do is worry about the second I stepped on the job on January 4th to building into this in 3 weeks against Arab, and coach has done a great job up there, and I know their stadium is going to be packed out, and it's going to be a great atmosphere, and I'm ready for it.
Question for all four players. Coach said there's 23 seniors. I believe he said all four of you guys are seniors. What does it mean to you to represent your football team that the coach selected you to come today to meet the media?
Go ahead, Jim.
That means all eyes on us. That means we have to play a bigger part since we're the seniors, because we got folks looking after us. So we gotta do what we gotta do at all time at 100%. It's nothing less than that. So yeah, that's what we gotta do. Something like that.
Kind of going off what he said, there's 23 of us, but in his eyes, we're the four that are the leaders, and we just got to step up, play our part, and then bring everybody else with us.
We're just going in order, Will, so this is you right here.
Covered everything.
It definitely put everybody looking at us, because we got more people coming up below us, like younger classmen, and as long as we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and they watch us, then they'll kind of follow in line. So we just got to make sure we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing at all times.
Tristan, you said you didn't play last year. Were you injured?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, one of the other players that played last year, how much did that loss in the opening game take the steam out of the momentum y'all had, it seemed like, from the spring and the summer?
When we lost that first game against Arab last year, it really kind of got everyone down because it was a close game. We thought we had a chance to win it at the very end. We thought we should have, and after we didn't win it, it just kind of everyone got a bad attitude, and it's just not really feeling it last year.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot for coming. Thanks, guys, for coming today to Media Day. We wish the Aggies the best of luck in the 2021 season. And as we've talked about, 3 weeks to open up against the Arab Knights and Arab.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us.
I think it'll be the 76th or 77th meeting between Albertville and Arab. So a lot of tradition there. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.
But since Boaz is here, we're going to go ahead with the Boaz Pirates this morning and Coach Jeremy Sullivan. Coach, I can't believe it's 5 years already. I believe this is your 5th year at Boaz. So introduce us to the two guys you brought with you and give us an outlook on the season for the Pirates.
All right, this is Carter Lambert. He's our quarterback, played quarterback for us last year, senior, 30 ACT score. So he's smarter than he looks, thank goodness. And then this is Kendrick Jamerson. He's played offensive line and defensive line for us. He'll play probably some of both again this year. He's a senior, been with us. Both of these kids have been with me since I've been there for 5 years. So it's been got to see them grow up and kind of develop as players. They're leaders on our team and leaders in our school. So I'm real proud of them and everything they've done and how far they've came. Going into this year, we got most everybody back on offense. We lost about 2 guys on offense. We got about 5 back on defense. We've added some new coaches. We hired Coach Brad Waldrop, who was at Geraldine previously as a head coach. Dusty Darnell, who I played with at JSU, who was the head coach at Crossville. So we've got a pretty experienced staff. I feel like it's the best staff we've had since I've been here and one of the best I've been around. I think they're guys who are very knowledgeable about football. They're good people, good with kids. We also added Shane Stewart, who was the offense coordinator at Collinsville the last few years. His wife was already part of the system, and we were able to get him. She helped with the recruiting, so she did a good job. And then a kid named Cody Aldridge, who I call a kid, but he's almost 30 years old, so I guess I'm getting old. But he came from Baldwin County High School down in South Alabama. He's originally from Susan Moore. We got a little project going on at the stadium right now, so we're a lot of things are kind of up in the air, but it's looking like we're going to be playing the first game on August 20th. Instead of playing there, we'll be playing at JSU. So we'll just change that home game from our place to JSU unless they can get some miracles happening between now and then. It's looking like it's going to be that second home game, West Point, before we actually get to actually play a home game in Boaz.
Coach, of course, we've talked some about COVID issues last year at this time. Last year we were looking at that. It's more of a normal year. Are you happy with the football team at this point in time as I guess you started practice this week?
Yeah, I guess I am. I'm not never really happy with them. I'm as happy as I get, I guess. We've gotten good effort. Everybody's been there. They've given great effort. We've had I feel like we've had a good start to preseason practices so far. We had a really good summer. I felt like our intensity and our effort and our attitude this summer was great. We haven't had any attendance problems or anything like that. So, yeah, I guess I'm as happy as I get with them. Of course, all I see is the stuff we need to improve on. So, they probably think I'm never happy, but I don't want them to go back and tell the other ones that I'm happy. So, y'all don't tell that part of it. But we got a long way to go, and we're still trying to fit all the pieces together. But I think we're headed in the right direction.
Coach, you were one of the first back when the AHSAA passed the rule allowing for this extra week of fall camp. Why were you so quick to take the opportunity to get this extra week of fall practice, and even just 3 days into it, what are you seeing as benefits from that decision?
Well, for me personally, and I might be wrong, but I think you make most of your improvement. The biggest improvement made during the season is usually between week 1 and week 2. And I felt like if we could play a week 1 game that didn't count against the record, that it would really help us going into that week 0 game against Hayden. And I didn't want them to do the same thing and get a week up on us. And then spring practice to me has become almost more of a hassle than it's worth because you only get 10 days. If you play a spring game, that cuts you down to 9. And so you just don't have you don't have a lot of time. There's so much going on in schools in that last month of school. It's hard to get everybody out there. And since they changed that rule where you can get 2 hours a week for 10 weeks, we can get more done in that time than we could have doing spring practice. At the time, my coaching staff was kind of in flux because I'd lost a couple guys. I hadn't got the new guys in yet. So we were about 4 coaches down at that time. So we were, we just wasn't in a good spot to have spring. So it actually worked out really well for us, I think. We got our coaching staff there, gave them all summer to get to know the kids. I think it's really gave us, we've got much more out of this first week than we would have out of spring practice.
Coach, to kind of piggyback off of that, is that something that you would rather see stay around from the HSAA having the extra spring or extra fall week, or would you rather have the spring? And number two, you mentioned Coach Darnell and Coach Waldrop. I've had the chance over the years to speak with both of those men. They are great men. They're good people. I loved my chances to get to talk with them. But would you kind of highlight how the kids have responded to their coaching thus far this year?
So starting with the spring practice, I hope we never do spring again. The only reason that I was still doing spring is because I didn't want anybody to get ahead of me, because I hate it. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's just a chance to get kids heard. And, you know, I felt like there's a couple times I'm out there watching baseball, and I'm going, man, I hope we get beat so I have my quarterback. I mean, you don't want to be – it shouldn't be like that. And it puts kids in such a bind of going from one to the other. And then all the baseball coaches are football guys, and so they're walking right off of getting beat in the playoffs on Saturday, and Monday they're starting spring practice. They're not very good coaches those first couple of days. So I hope we don't ever do it again. I'd like to keep it just like it is. And those 2 hours a week for 10 weeks to me is the key, because as long as you keep that, you can get a lot done. You can get all your install stuff done, you know, a lot of fundamental work. We got a lot of stuff done in that time. Moving to Coach Waldrop and Coach Darnell, you know, they are both fantastic people. I played with Coach Darnell at JSU. We used to go against each other in board drills every Tuesday. And, you know, Coach Darnell would tell you, you know, I won a lot more than he did. But I knew that the next Tuesday I was going to have to beat him again. And the next Tuesday I was going to have to beat him again. And so, you know, he's a high energy, you know, he's coaching D-line for us. He's a high energy guy. I think the kids really like him and respond well to him. You know, Coach Waldrop, I didn't know Coach Waldrop, but I watched his teams play, and I felt like I knew Coach Waldrop, because those teams he coached at Geraldine were always so physical and tough, and I always felt like he got the most out of those kids that you could, that whatever the best they could do was what they did. And, you know, I thought that adding somebody like that would be a big positive. And, you know, he's running the special teams for us too, made him special teams coordinator, and he's just a super, super smart person, smart football coach. You know, I didn't really realize what I was getting when I got him. He teaches math, so he's been able to take advantage of that teams, the new team stuff that come out. So, you know, he ended up getting a huge pay raise, and I think it's worked out good for everybody. But I couldn't be more excited to have those two guys. It's just, you know, for me, like, something will come up, and I got those two guys and Coach Jennings, who's been a head coach, you know, I forgot how many years at Susan Moore, a long time at Susan Moore, and then at Douglas too. And so he's seen a lot of stuff too. And so I got those three guys that I can get their opinion. You know, final decision rests with me, and the consequences rest with me. But I got some really good input there from those guys. And, you know, the other guys that are there, most of them have been with me now for the whole time I've been there. And so that, to me, that really makes a difference. They kind of know the way I think and what I expect. And it's been almost hard. I've probably had the hardest adjustment on what I'm supposed to be doing during practice sometimes. Like, we have so much help now that I'm like, golly, I feel a little left out, you know. So it's took me a little while to adjust and try to use everybody and get the most out of everybody, including myself. So but I think we're finding our way, and it's going to be a very good thing for us to have those guys on our staff.
Coach, here on July the 29th, still 3 weeks away from the season starting, but talk about what you think will be the strengths of this year's Boaz football team.
Well, I think depth is one place that we have a little bit of advantage, especially in our region. We were counting it up today, and I think we're going to end up that first game. We'll probably play, you know, around 42, 43 kids in the game. I think that's huge, especially early in the season. I don't know that we've ever had as high a ratio of kids that we're either going to contribute this year, or you could see in the next 2 years where their contribution's going to be. You know, and every kid's important, and every one of them don't play on Friday night, and that don't mean that they're not important to the team. But I think we're going to have a really high number of kids that are going to be able to play early on, especially for us. I think that'll help us. We got a lot of experience on the offensive line, and I think that's going to be our biggest strength going into the season.
I I do have a question for the quarterback. 30 on your ACT, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you just kind of describe your football IQ?
Well, I've kind of grown up my whole life watching football and playing football, and me and my dad have always gone to Alabama football games, stuff like that. So I feel like I have a pretty good football IQ. There's always more I can learn, and I'm always actively trying to learn, but I definitely feel like I have a pretty good football IQ.
Coach, this one's for you. Last 3 seasons, playoffs. You got there, unable to win a game. I know you want more than ever to win a playoff game in your tenure with Boaz. I know these kids want more than ever to win a playoff game. What is it going to take to get over that hump? And do you feel like having these guys, you've seen them grow as 8th graders to now being seniors, does that help kind of going forward?
I think playoffs is all about matchups. You know, and we have to do a good job in the regular season to assure ourselves the best matchup we can. You know, we got to win as many of those region games as we can, so we're higher seed, so we get a better matchup. And I think that's the whole key. You know, and then we have to not worry about the playoffs or any of that stuff. We have to worry about improving as much as we can every day. And every day just try to get a little better. And by the time we get to that part of the season, I'm hoping that we'll be good enough and we'll have given ourselves a good enough matchup that we can be successful. And, yeah, I mean, I love our team this year. I love our kids. And I think – I was talking to a group yesterday, and maybe I just talk myself into it every year. I don't know, but it's kind of like my wife has to talk herself into staying with me every year, I guess. You know, I feel like I love my kids more and more every year, you know. But it's good to talk to you when you're not trying to sell me extended warranty. I do appreciate that.
Now, Coach, I want to ask you something. I know you can tell you're a hands-on type coach, so it's probably is tough for you to step away and let your coaches do their job. But having a quarterback as smart as he is, do you ever kind of sort of let him dictate and call plays on the field, or you still do all that? Or do you give him the freedom to kind of change the offense around a little bit? Because he probably sees things a lot of people don't see.
We talk between every series about what he likes. One of my favorite questions to ask him is, what did you see? What do you like? Yeah, his input is taken into what we do. And then, you know, as we go along in practice, and me and him's been together so long that, you know, we kind of know how each other think, and it, you know, he knows better than to change the play that I tell him to run, but he has input on what plays we run, if that makes sense. And, you know, some of the things he can do, you know, he ran 4.4 at 2 different camps this summer, so he can run pretty good too. So, you know, some of the things that we do are geared to letting him run the football, you know, and take advantage of that. And he knows if it's, you know, some of the things he does is, you know, as being a smart, headsy guy, you know, if it's 3rd and 1 and we have an RPO called, he's not going to pull it and throw it. He's going to hand it off and get the yard. You know, he does things like that a lot. And sometimes I'm like, why didn't you pull it? Well, it's 3rd and 1, coach. So, you know, I mean, sometimes he can be too smart for his own good. It's a little scary when you got players that are smarter than you, or you feel like they might be smarter than you. But he's a really smart kid, and he makes great decisions. And, you know, that's one thing that gives him a chance to be a good player for us, is he makes such good decisions that keeps us out of trouble a lot of times.
A couple of things for the players. First of all, both seniors, I think, you said,
yes,
representing the football team, that he's chosen you to represent the football team at the media day. And the other thing is, do you see a difference in your teammates this year maybe than you have in the past as we head into the season?
I got it. The connection between us, you know. We've all grown up, played football together, and we've just grown a bond between all of us. And I feel like that's going to help us win a couple games this year.
I kind of want to add to that. We're being the old guy this year. You know, I'm so used to being one of the younger guys. So one thing I'm going to say, there's no division between grades, especially. You know, I'm friends with a lot of the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and that's been one thing I think is really cool this year.
And, Coach, before you go, I know you mentioned you may have to play the first game at JSU. Do you know yet for sure? I know I came by there yesterday, and I didn't see anything going on. I saw a field with a lot of dirt and nothing going on.
They've been getting at it now. They worked about 14 hours yesterday.
Okay, well, I didn't. When I came by,
that
I
may have
didn't
been
see
right
them.
after they busted the water line.
Oh, that may have been.
Yeah, they were scattering. My principal was mad. But they're at it as hard as they can. If they were to get it done, we would play there. Right now, the plan that I've been told, the latest plan is we're playing at JSU. So
okay.
That's what I've talked to Coach Register about at Hayden, and that's kind of where we're It's where the officials are supposed to show up that Friday night. So if by some miracle they were to get it done, then we would swap and stay at Boaz, of course.
Okay. Boaz Pirates will open on the 20th then, I guess, at JSU against Hayden.
Yes, sir.
Coach, good luck this year. Thanks, you guys, for coming, and we wish you the best.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
We're going to continue this morning with the Arab Knights and Coach Lee Osmond, I believe, beginning your third season as the head man for the Arab Knights. Coach, would you introduce the guys that are with you today and give us an outlook for Arab here in 2021?
This is Ed Johnson to my right. He's returning starting quarterback. Was our starter last year going into the season and broke his leg, but he's back full speed now. Looking forward to big things out of him. To my left is Caleb Rowe. He was a two-way starter last year, played offensive line out of necessity and played defensive end, which was his home, and played that all year last year and played very well for us. Outlook, I'm one of those that's real cautious. Optimistic but cautious. I'm excited, and the reason I'm excited is I think we've got a group of seniors that, and everybody's going to say pretty much the same thing, all right? Everybody loves seniors, but this bunch has been through a lot. We've tested them. We tested them this morning. We're going to test them again tonight. We're going to test them tomorrow morning and tomorrow night. We're going to keep testing them. And they just keep passing those tests with flying colors because of the intangibles. We're not gonna go out on the field in the warm-ups and impress anybody. We're gonna lose probably the warm-ups. We'll be 0-10 if we keep scoring the warm-ups. But I think if you stick around for the football game, I think it'll be competitive, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Coach, we talk about other numbers. You said you had, I believe, 18 seniors this year. Is that?
I got 20.
20 seniors this year. Would you talk about your numbers and your returning starters on offense and defense, please?
We've got 6 returning starters on offense, and we've got 8 returning starters on defense. And in both cases, you can't judge a team by returning starters. I judge a team by, returning veterans. And so far, we've taken the field in practice, in OTAs and things we've done this summer and in the spring. We've taken the field like veterans. And I think a key to our success, and I've preached this since the first meeting, is going to be how we practice. Can we practice full intensity and take care of each other? Because, I mean, like any other high school team, we've got pretty good. We're pretty good, you know, on the first team, but then we really we could get in trouble real quick if we get a few injuries. Kind of what happened to us last year.
Coach, Caleb, you won a state championship in wrestling. It seems like that's lifted your profile a little bit in the school. But seems to be a lot of leaders on that team this off season. Could you talk about the leadership in the weight room and in the workouts?
I mean, coming in from this year, from last year, there definitely are a bunch of more leaders. I mean, some leaders you have guys like Jonathan Pugh and Jonah Humphreys that have been stepping up, and Ed just being a leader like he always is. There's new guys like Mitchell Duquette and others I could rattle off, but there's a ton of leaders on this team, and I'm looking forward to it.
Coach, over on your left, good to see you again. Looking forward to talking with you this season. A couple of quick questions for you. I know that as coaches, once one season ends, it's almost the new one starts, and you get questions, and you start wondering, okay, where are we going to fix this? How can we be better here and there? You've got all sorts of questions. What questions might you still have that maybe you already have answered, and what are you still looking for on the answer side of things? And number two is for you players, you guys get a brand new field to play on this year. I got to go out and look at it last week. That thing's coming together quick, and it looks great. I know that a couple of years ago in Coach Osmond's first year, that Madison Academy game, that was a mud pit, to say the least. Are you guys looking forward to playing on this brand-new turf that looks so good? I know that's got to be a little bit easier not to worry about the rain. So I'll go with Coach and then players.
Well, there's nobody more excited than I am, and I know these two are excited to play on that field, that turf. And yes, it was it was tough because if it rained on Monday or Tuesday, you were questionable on Friday night, and I'd had helicopters out there to try to dry it out. It just never would dry out. But it's this whole process of them digging the old field up and putting down the new, I've just kind of kept watch on it and been there every day to watch how they build it and how they put it together. And a few times we've had a wet summer. I mean, I don't think anybody can argue with that. And there's times where I'll go in there and in the middle of a rainstorm, I'm out there with my rain jacket and my umbrella, and I'm looking to see if the field is draining, and the track is wetter than the field, and that made my heart sing. So we're excited. We're excited to play on it. It's a beautiful field. It really is. I thought it looked great on paper, but then when they laid it down and we took pictures last night, it's drop dead gorgeous. So we're excited. That's one thing. But another thing is, it's going to depend on what product we put on that field, and I'm more excited about that. I'm excited about rising to the level of our expectations as a program, and I think these two represent that, as much as anybody on our football team. Is they play to a standard every day, whether they feel like it or not. They get outside their feelings. It doesn't matter how you feel; it matters how you perform. And these two show up and they perform every day. And there's others, but I chose these two, and I'm proud to be sitting up here with these guys, especially this one because he didn't play last year. I know he was chomping at the bit to be out there, and he couldn't. And now he's shown up for a senior year, and I'm gonna be excited to see him taking snaps this year.
Yeah, like Coach Osmond said, I'm excited to play on this turf field, and I know the rest of our guys on our team are. They go out and look at that field, and they're like, man, let's get out there and play on it. So I'm looking forward to this year, and I'm excited. We got a bunch of key players returning and ready to see what we can do.
I'm also excited to play on this field. I know last year we had a couple of really wet games, and just struggling to move on the field. Like, you'd make a cut, and you'd fall right on your face because there's the ground would just come ripping up and below you. So I'm ready to get some traction on the field. So,
Coach, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, Rocco. How you doing, man?
You touched on it. 20 returning seniors. That's big time. A lot of programs are lucky to have maybe like 5 or 10. 20 is a pretty big number. As far as that goes, how important is that for you as a head coach when it comes to winning football games? And not only that, just continuing to build on this program into what you want it to be going forward?
Well, that's a great question. Here's the deal. You know, as a coach, your senior class either makes your job either more difficult or better. And I'm not going to say easy, but either they'll make it more difficult or you know, better. And I'm this bunch, the way they lead, the way they hold, you know, other players on this team accountable, they're really the coaches. And I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. I really mean that. They're the coaches. And here's how. You know, when I say, all right, let's focus, let's dial in, let's get after it, and let's focus on the next play and do things right and do the little things right, they're going to do the little things right. And then when somebody else does it wrong, they're going to be the first to say, hey, this is how you do it, you know. And it makes your job better as a coach. And you know, I've spent a lot of time with this class over the last 3 years, and you know, here's what I know. I know that these guys are going to do what they're coached to do. And when they do what they're coached to do, they're going to have confidence and they're going to have freedom within that system to play football. And isn't that the same in life? I mean, there's rules that God gives us to live by, and if you live within those rules, within those boundaries, there's freedom, right? There's freedom within the boundaries of doing what we do on the football field to play with freedom and to play fast. And they're going to play fast. They're going to play fast because they get it now. And I'm excited. I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about that.
Hey, Coach Osman, I wanted to kind of piggy off of what he said and then what you just finished saying. It just feels like you truly believe that this group of guys in this year's football team has a chance to be pretty special. I just wanted to ask you, considering all the things from last year, he got injured early, changed everything for you all, but more importantly, from then, the end of the season, winter conditioning, spring, it just feels like it's different at ARAB. Could you kind of like explain that to us?
It's different. We're built different. We are. We're built different. From the top down, we're built different than we've been in years past. And I don't know what that means, and I don't know what that translates to. It doesn't I'm not going to say it translates to 6 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins, 5 wins, or 2. I don't know. But I know this. I know that it's a pleasure to go to work every day. It's a pleasure to see that light come on. It's a pleasure to be around these guys because they get it. They pull for each other. I mean, we're in the weight room, and it's 125. We don't have air conditioning in our weight room. And it's hot. And it's humid, and weights are slipping off the bars, and their feet are slipping underneath them, and it's hot. I mean, it's like hot. And we're stopping because Caleb's about to clean 275 or whatever, or the quarterback's about to clean 245, and everybody's stopping and they're cheering for him. You know, so then he pumps out 2 or 3 or 4 reps. And we're just getting excited. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen because of me. That happens because of these guys have bought in, and they love each other, and they work, and they want to outwork each other every day. And I just think that's the special thing about it is it's not that, you know, we got 20 returning seniors or anything like that. That's because they enjoy being with each other, and they enjoy being around each other, and they enjoy every moment that they're together. And I'm not saying that we're all whistling zippy-doo-dah and getting along and not fighting. I mean, I break up fights, and that's a good thing because families fight, you know. Families fight, but I think sometimes through those scars, they grow closer together. And I've broken up fights, managed fights, because we go inside, there's fights. We go inside drill, there's fights. And we're not even in shoulder pads yet. But that's a good thing. Because at the end of the day, we're all on the same team, we're all in the same family, and we're pulling for each other. Special, man. It's special.
One last question. This is for the players, guys, seniors on the football team. Coach said there's 20. He picked 2 of you to represent the whole football team today at Media Day. Could you talk about that?
Yep. Me and Caleb are just 2 that represent our all of our 20 seniors. we got a special group. Really excited about what we're going to accomplish something this year that no other Arab team's accomplished. Our D line, we have 3 seniors on the D line this year that are really they're going to do something, and I'm excited to see how everything plays out. And yep.
What was the question again? I kind of forgot.
It was about representing your team as a senior.
Yeah, we do have a bunch of seniors on the team, like I said earlier, and a big class. I feel like there's a bunch of them all over the field, especially from the offensive line. I mean, I see them every day. They got a bunch. I mean, I go up against them in practice every day. I mean, there's some good seniors. I mean, they're all over the field. I mean, behind me on my linebacker core and in front of my offensive line and my backs and everything. I mean, there's a bunch of good seniors.
I don't know if you just saw what happened, but my quarterback bragged on the defensive line, and my defensive end, who's fighting every day, bragged on the offensive line.
That's good.
That's brothers.
That's what you're talking about, right, Coach?
That's the difference.
The process continues at Arab. Hey, Coach, thanks for being with us today. Good luck to the Arab Knights. I believe 3 weeks from today that you open against the Albertville Aggies on that brand new field there at Arab.
Everybody needs to be there. It's the only game in Marshall County.
Thanks, Coach. Turn it on. All right. Up next is the Gunnersville Wildcats. The Wildcats won 10 games last year. They're led by the Dean of Marshall County Coaches. What is this, 12 or 13 years, Coach?
12 years.
12 years as head man for the Gunnersville Wildcats. Coach Lance Reese, would you introduce the guys you brought with you and talk about this Gunnersville Wildcats, your preseason look?
I'm going to let them introduce yourself. We rehearsed this outside, so they'll be disappointed if they don't get to. Go ahead.
I'm Logan Pate. I'm a senior and a running back. Cooper Davidson. I'm a DB and wide receiver. I'm a senior.
Miller Cutner. I'm a senior. DN.
Brooks Martin. I'm a senior, offensive line.
Excited about the season. We had a great year last year, winning 10 games. Lost the second round to a very good Pleasant Grove team. This year, we've got 15 seniors, been working hard all summer. We officially started practice this week. We're out there in helmets and shoulder pads, getting after it. We're excited to be playing the Kickoff Classic in Montgomery against defending 4A state champions Hanley. So once we found out we were playing in that game, there's kind of been a sense of urgency. We want to make the most of every day and every practice, and it's made the coaching staff excited. I saw the excitement in the players. So probably in my tenure at Gunnersville, there's this summer has been a little more, I don't know, a little more sense of urgency.
Coach, I believe all the guys up there, all seniors?
Yeah, all seniors, and kind of unique. They're all 4-year starters.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to make you feel good going into this season with as many returning guys that's played a lot of football for the Gunnersville Wildcats.
It does. I think we have 7 returning starters on both sides of the ball. We only had 10 seniors last year, but all 10 started. Very good players. Lost some good ones, but we got some good guys back. And it's always interesting to see these guys make the transition from just good players to leaders on the team. But they've done that, and we know that these 4, along with the other 11 seniors, are going to be very important to our success this year.
Hey, Coach Reese, good to see you. I know it just has to be exciting for you, Logan Cooper, all the guys, knowing that you have to be ready from the get-go. And to play a game like that in the magnitude down in Montgomery, the state's going to be able to see, has to be huge. This is for you and players. Just the excitement of being able to not only have a really good football team returning, but to play against a defending champ to kind of set the tone for the year.
Yeah, we're excited about the opportunity. I think everybody, Gunnersville players past and present, can be kind of proud that we got invited to play in a game like this, certainly showcase not only these guys but our program as well. And we're going to be on statewide TV that night, so we know what's coming and know what it's going to take. Hanley's a team with great tradition, well coached, probably one of the best running backs in the state. We feel like we've got a good running back as well. So I'm excited about it. The coaches are, and we'll let these guys talk about it. Go ahead, Logan. We'll move this way.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much just a great opportunity. I mean, we've been working hard all summer and getting ready and working out, running, getting in shape, everything like that. I mean, I feel like we have a really good chance to do something great this year.
It's going to be a really exciting game. Like Logan said, we've worked really hard for all during the summer, working out, running. We've been just busting our tail out there, just getting ready for this first game.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good opportunity to figure out what we need to work on and what we need to get better at besides offense and defensive wise.
You know, it's a great opportunity. You know, we're going to see how good we are right off the start. You know.
Well, Coach, last year you lost to Pleasant Grove. Very good football team, no doubt. You done spoke on that. I know the expectations were to go further in the playoffs. That had to leave a little bit of bitter taste in your mouth. Is that some of the urgency for this year? Do you think these kids are feeding off of that, looking forward to this year?
Yeah, certainly. You know, our goal is to be the best we can every week and not look ahead. But this year we're playing Fort Payne, really good 6A team with a lot of tradition, a preseason game. And we're going to play Hanley. Then we've got 6A county rival Arab. Then we go to Fairview that was ranked in the top 10 in 5A. Madison County's a non-region game, and they were a top 5 team in 4A. And then we've got county rivals like Boaz. So we're not really looking past the regular season. We'll worry about the regular season after that Albertville game. But we feel like we've got a tremendous challenge just to the regular season games. But we know we've got to get ready because when the playoffs come, you know, it's time to be playing your best football. When we get there, hopefully we're where we need to be and excited about that opportunity.
Coach, you guys, a lot of continuity back, 7 starters on both sides, and then yourself, your offensive and defensive coordinator, been together 10 years. This is for you and the players. How has that continuity helped you guys hit the ground running this summer and as you start fall camp this week?
I think everybody knows our expectations, and we're not a team that comes in and changes a lot from year to year. These guys have all been in the program for 4 years. They know what's expected. They know what it takes to win, as does our offensive and defensive staff. So we're going to try to look at what we did last year and just keep doing those things that brought us success. Anything we fell short on, try to improve there as well. But once again, you're going to not see a lot of changes. You're going to see Gunnersville football once again.
This is kind of piggybacking off that question about losing that playoff game for the players. What did you learn most from last year's successful season, and kind of what did that loss in the playoffs teach you about coming into your senior season?
Well, to be honest, I mean, the loss against Pleasant Grove. Well, the loss against Pleasant Grove was pretty sad on my part. I mean, I feel like I could have done more, but I mean, just get ready this year and do the same.
I think it's going to help us a lot this year. Just work harder, so we can make it farther this year and then feel better about it.
I feel like that loss is going to help us and motivate us to do a little bit better and work that much harder and try to get that much better.
I just think it motivated us to do a lot better this year and just work better and get better every day.
When you're in the playoffs, we say we don't have any regrets. When we come back in here and the game's over, don't think what could I have done. And when we watch that film, as good as Pleasant Grove was there's just a few little things, a turnover here and there that would have kept us in that game to the fourth quarter. So to me, it makes me feel good to realize there's things that we could have done on our end that would have allowed us to stay in the game against a team like Pleasant Grove that went to the finals. So we can't control them, but we can control us, and we're going to try to be a better team when we get that opportunity this year.
Coach, as we go into the season, after winning 10 last year, we've talked about losing to Pleasant Grove. With all these seniors coming back that's played a lot of football for Gunnersville, I'm sure there's some high expectations. How's you and the team handling those expectations as we go into the season?
You know, I've been at Gunnersville for 30 years, and hopefully anytime we take the field, the expectation is to win, regardless of who we're playing. And that's I hope that's the expectation as long as I'm the head coach. So we try to focus on one game at a time. The focus on us is on us. We're going to try to be the best team we can be. We can't control our opponent, and so when we flip on that Hanley film and see all those college prospects, that's great. Or if we flip on the film and see a young team with a lot of freshmen, we don't want to let that impact how we play. We're going to try to be the best version of Gunnersville we can be, and get ready to go.
And I'll ask this to the players, all four, if you don't mind speaking on it. Is Coach said you've got, I think, 15 seniors. He chose 4 of you to come and represent Gunnersville High School. What does that mean to you to come to Media Day to represent your teammates in your high school?
It means a lot. I mean, it really does. Well, my only goal for this upcoming year is to get Coach his 100th win. And we'd have to win every game and we'll have to win 11 games. So that's pretty much my goals for this upcoming year.
It's good. I think it's good, but we have a lot of more seniors that we expect step up like we have. So
Yeah, it's a great honor to be hand-chosen, me and these 3 others, to be picked out of our senior class to represent.
Yeah, I think it's a really great honor to be chosen from all of our seniors that he chose us for.
Hey, Coach, what's going on?
Hi.
Last season, school record in points offensively. It was unbelievable just watching it. Not to take anything away from these 2 guys sitting on this side, but these 2 right here, they've seemed to establish themselves as a 1-2 punch. What makes this duo so special?
Well, you mentioned 1-2 punch. I think we had about I think our offense and defense was separated by about 100 yards at the end of the year. So we feel like we've got the ability to run or throw the ball at any time. In order to do that, you've got to have a great quarterback. Cole McCarty is going to be a junior. He did a great job for us. Logan had 1,700 yards, I think, rushing. Cooper led the team in receiving. Jack Harris was a great player, but Cooper was actually our leading receiver. And then if you don't have an offensive line up front that can run block and pass block, you're not going to be able to do that. So we averaged over 50 points a game in the regular season, and I feel like a lot of that was our ability to have balance and have confidence, change the tempo, and we just tried to come out there from the opening kickoff and go wide open.
Coach Reese.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, bud?
Good.
Your legacy seems to get bigger and bigger as the season goes on. You have a penchant for taking a team at the beginning of the season that's good and by the end of the season is really good. Share with us, what is your philosophy and how do you make that happen? Because year after year, Gunnersville High School is the Gunnersville Wildcats are one of the highest, the strongest finishing teams in our state.
For one thing, we believe you win and lose games Monday through Thursday in practice. And if you don't have discipline in practice, you're going to see it on the field. I try to take pride in the fact that we're not a team that's going to beat ourselves. We're not going to have crazy penalties. We're not going to turn the ball over. And that's not something you can wait and stress on Friday. You got to stress it Monday through Thursday. Give a lot of credit to our assistants. Like we said before, a lot of them have been with me 8 to 10 years. They know the standard we're working for. These guys all, when they were out there as freshmen, they saw what those seniors did and saw what it takes to win. So we try to get better every week, and we don't focus on our opponents. That's what we do. We're going to watch film, but we're going to worry about us every week and getting better. We're not going to let the talent of our opponents affect how we practice that week. We want to be better because when you get to face a great team in the playoffs, you don't want to stay stagnant. You better get better every week regardless of your opponent, because you know eventually you're going to face a great team that's got as much talent as you, and you want to be playing at the best level possible.
Okay, Coach, thanks a lot. Thanks, guys, for being with us. I believe 2 weeks from tonight, you've got a jamboree against Fort Payne.
Fort Payne on a Thursday night.
On 3
Next
weeks.
Thursday's the
Right.
the kickoff. Correct.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks,
Thank you.
Coach. Good luck to the Wildcats. It may not be in Marshall County, but they're going to be on WRAB, Michael St. John, his radio station. They're going to be all their games broadcast live. So Coach Plunkett is with us today. And Coach, introduce the two guys you brought with you and give us an outlook on the season for the Brewer Patriots.
Got senior linebacker Micah Steffen. He'll also play some tight end and slot receiver. 6'1", 6'2", according to how I use my pencil right there, but he obviously plays a lot bigger than that. And then I got Lee Murray, who'll be a free safety. Could also be an outside linebacker in some packages. He'll also play slot receiver for us as well. Both are seniors, extremely hard workers. And, we've got 8 seniors right now. We added, I think last year they had 3 on the squad, so we've got 8. Building towards, getting that number to around 15 over the next couple years. But this group of seniors is absolutely fantastic, great leaders. These two, I don't think they've missed a day since June 11th, which was my first day, and they represent our high school fantastic. And we're excited, and our theme is move forward. Let's go.
First of all, Coach, I want to ask you how excited you are to move back home. I understand you're almost, 3 or 4 miles from the school, so you're actually back home.
I'm about 10 miles from the school. It's just a few-minute drive, though, dropping down the mountain right there. But, I've been at some places that weren't necessarily home. You always try to be a coach that always buys into the community and loves the community. But this place is really special because it's personal to me. I've always known about Brewer High School. My brother-in-law was at Brewer High School and within Morgan County for almost 13 years. It's always been right down the road. It's a big farming community. Our kids don't just work hard, in sports. They work hard off the field as well. We have one of the best career tech programs in the entire country, much less the state of Alabama. And our kids work hard. And they go on, and, most people may have 75% of their students go on to college. 75% of our students go immediately into the workforce, and they get after it. And so our kids know about hard work, and establishing that brand for me is really, really important because that's who I was as a young man. And I worked in the chicken houses, I worked in the hay fields, and then I went to football practice. And that's what these guys do every day, and that's why it's personal to me. And these guys can win. They're winners.
You mentioned you started on June 11th. How tough is it for you and this football team? That's just a short period of time to get ready to play a football season.
Well, you can look at it as a challenge or you look at it as an opportunity. I look at it as a great opportunity. And our guys have not shied away from hard work from day one. And, June 11th, seems like it was just yesterday. But I tell you what, this football program has accomplished a lot in just a few days. We've raised our numbers from, I believe, 29 young men showed up, and we're almost to 50. You can look at our roster. I brought you today. I believe we're at 48, and we've got one young man because of a zoning situation will have to sit out this year, but will become eligible the next year, and so he would up our roster a little bit. But, you know, my goal was to try to get us to 50 by August 20th. We start school August 11th. There's a lot of guys that I haven't been able to meet with, and I believe, you know, over the coming years, we'll increase our numbers. I can tell you this, you know, people have always had a whatever viewpoint about Brewer High School. The place is absolutely immaculate. The facilities are fantastic. But we have an excellent pool of athletes and people that know how to work hard. I think once we establish our brand, this senior class, you know, has really set their expectations high, and they're ready to move forward with their career and start this season out with a bang, and we're excited about that.
Coach Plunkett, I'm Mike Tankersley with the Tribune. All right. Tell us your strategy, why you decided, even though you had the opportunity to start early, a week early in practice, you decided not to. You devoted some time to your middle school program and getting your staff hired.
Yes. Well, we hired 5 coaches. We had 5 assistant coaches spots and teaching spots open. So we spent a lot of quality time. I didn't want to rush that process because the people that we have working with our young men every day is extremely important to me, and having the right people in place and taking the time is something our administration wanted to do a very diligent job with. And so we've actually got 2 guys that still are going to be board approved, Lord willing, in the next 24 hours. So I didn't want to start practice and not have those guys ready to go this week. We were able to get some installation practices on Monday and Tuesday this week. But I mean, focusing on lifting weights, focusing on getting stronger, focusing on building the numbers in our middle school program. Right now, we're about 39 kids in our middle school program. That's 7th and 8th grade. We've only got 36 helmets, so we're having to work through that problem. That's a great problem to have in our middle school program. But, you know, if we can keep those numbers growing, and by the time those kids are seniors and juniors, you know, you're nearing close to 20 per class right there, and that gives our kids an opportunity to compete and have a chance to win every Friday night. And I know what type of work ethic that I have, and I've been very impressed with the work ethic that these seniors have, and I tell you what, the sky's the limit.
Hey, Coach, right here. I just wanted to ask you mentioned about the success that Brewers had in athletics in the past. You know, girls basketball has been outstanding back in the day. For you to try to build this program to where you want it to go, could you kind of just walk us through just the vision that you have and the very reason why you decided to come back home and was sold on the vision of what Brewer football and what that program can be?
You got it. And, you know, anybody that's ever had children knows that your children is the most important thing in the world to you. You know, we all go through some tough times in our career. The tough times that I've had have been very limited, but I've been very blessed in my career. But you go through some things that allows you to evaluate who you are as a person, where you want to go as a person, as a professional, and the type of father and husband that you want to be. And being back home, I felt like I could raise my children the way that my sister and I and my wife had the opportunity to be raised. And we've got a section of land, about 140 acres that I was able to be raised on right there just north or really south of our school. And that was very personal to me. You know, I coached in the Birmingham metro area for 5 years, coached Texas high school football for 3 years, spent about 10 years at the college level in Division II football, a couple of years as a student assistant at Alabama, coached in a Division II national championship game at Pittsburgh State, coached with the winningest coach in Division II history, Coach Ken Sparks at Carson Newman for a year, recruited the whole state of Alabama, spent 3.5 years at the University of North Alabama right after they had really had a string of national championships in the mid-'90s. And so I've learned a lot and been around a lot. But, you know, I played at Arab High School. I grew up at Arab from the time I could walk. Never missed a practice from the time I was 3 years old to when I graduated. And, you know, being back close to home and being able to coach, you know, a school like Brewer who has great kids and the kids are hardworking, I want to help turn this program into what I know it can be. And it can be a winning, competitive program. We have great kids. We've got a hard-working nucleus. The school is fantastic. The facilities are, I'm telling you right now, 50 schools in this state would take our facilities right now. And a lot of credit, I'll tell you what, goes to Jeff Walters. Jeff Walters worked his butt off getting those facilities where they needed to be over 6 years, and he made that happen. And guys, 3 years ago, Brewer High School was 8-3 and in the state playoffs. I think there was some things, chemistry-wise, that were there, but building off that momentum where they were 3 years ago, these guys remember that feeling. They were young players then. They know what it was like. Our goal is to get to the state playoffs, compete for the region championship, and win that first state playoff game. And we're setting our goals high, and we don't want to just win one. We want to win multiple playoff games. And we expect in October to be competing for the region championship. And we're going to set our goals extremely high, and we're going to work extremely hard. And I promise you I'll hold them accountable.
This one's for the players. Coach obviously has a fantastic resume. Just read it off. Ton of experience. He's happy to be back home. How long did it take you guys, getting a new coach very recently, to buy into his philosophy and what he wants to bring to the table going forward?
That's a good question. So when I first heard that we were getting a new coach, I was biased because I was with Jeff Walters for, 4 or 5 years, him being at Brewer, and, and nothing but respect to Coach Walters. But when Matt Plunkett came to Brewer, it was like a switch. I mean, he just, I was biased. I didn't think, just because it's a new coach coming, I didn't think, he was going to really care about us or anything. But he really took the time to get to know us, get to know our families and get to know the area and stuff like that. And I really appreciate him.
Re-ask the question for Micah right there.
I was saying, how long did it take you to buy into Coach, his philosophy, and what he's bringing to the table going forward?
I was very excited when he came up. I've heard a lot about him before he's even hired, and when he came in, I bought in day one. I mean, look at his resume. He's good. I'm just ready to get to work with him.
Coach Plunkett, back in the back here.
There you go.
2 things. Number one, Brewer High School, like you said, is a great layout. It's one of the most beautiful places to call a football game in the South, in my opinion. But you also draw from 3 distinct areas that feed Brewer High School. You don't have a true city or a town. You're drawing from 3 different areas. How tough is it to bring everybody together? Because as the past be known about Brewer High School, there have been factions that have kept it from being united. What can you do to unite those communities?
Well, I think one advantage that I have in uniting our communities is my brother-in-law was a principal for 5 years in one of those communities at Kateka. He was also a football coach at Kateka. He was the head football coach and head basketball coach. And he knew firsthand what the struggles were, what the obstacles were. And we had a lot of conversations in the backyard underneath the shade tree over the last 10, 15 years about what it would take. And I'll just tell you something. Our Kateka community, our Union Hill community, our Eva community, and our Lacey Spring community, it is massive. It is massive. I've been in the Gardendale community, the Coleman community, the Locust Fork community, spent time in Texas in the Magnolia community. The one community I can compare it to would be Magnolia, Texas. And it's massive. And when the coach can get in there and be a liaison and be very visible and recognized, we did some feeder camps last week. Our numbers, I think we ended up having 62 kids ages 5 to 12 last Thursday night. And it was a Future Patriot camp. I was extremely excited how fired up the parents were. I've been to basketball practice. I've watched our baseball team. We have a tremendous pool of athletes. I think the thing that was missing was an athletic program attitude. You've kind of had a really good female sports. The male sports seem to be all separate entities, all the way back into the feeders. It was basketball, basketball, basketball. And then they took football away and brought it to Brewer a few years ago. And so our 7th and 8th grade are at Brewer. But I think just the visibility, being able to get kids on the bus every day to get to Brewer, having a 5-year plan in motion, to help build that program even stronger, starting with this team, is very, very important to us. But, right now our 7th and 8th grade numbers are nearing 40. We've actually got 3 helmets short. We're working on rounding up right now, and every football coach in the state and the country knows how hard it is to find football helmets right now. We actually had to purchase 14 off of Amazon the other day, which I never thought I'd experience that in my life. And our auto body guy is actually painting 12 helmets as we speak that are brought from Locust Fork. So, there's a bunch of obstacles, but those communities are amazing. I've taken kids home and I've went to pick up kids. I bet I've driven, oh my goodness, it almost seems like 200 miles because it is, I was on Airport Road picking up a kid the other day, leaving Brewer High School. And that's South Huntsville. So you sit there, and if you're visible and you have a great brand and great product, people want to be a part of it. The key to being successful is people want to be attracted to something, and parents want their kids to be a part of something that can help them grow and develop into better people. And it can't be just about football, football, football. It's got to be about, we want to build you into a better person, so 20 years from now, you're making our community better. And that's what these young men are about, because a lot of these young men, they're tied to their families. They're tied to their family farm. They want their kids the same way I want my kids, in a great area, in a safe area, they can raise their families one day. And so 20 years from now, I'd love to ask these guys the effect that their high school football program and their career at Brewer High School had on them. And if that was a positive, they're going to bring their kids back. And that's what we want, and that's what we want to build and create a tremendous tradition.
Coach, one last question. You are a chip off your old block of your dad, who was one of the greatest coaches I've ever worked with. And this year, instead of being an assistant on the sideline or an advisor, he's going to be in the press box. And, he's sort of shy. I don't know if we can get him to talk. But how's it going to at what point have y'all already had to talk about what he can and what he cannot say on the radio?
Funny, he came to me the first time that he's ever asked my permission for anything. I've usually asked him, can I mow my own grass, just because he don't want anything getting in his pastures, because he takes care of those. But my dad, without getting emotional, he loves his family. And he knew that us leaving the Birmingham metro area was not an easy decision, but it was the right decision. And him being able to be directly involved to support our kids and support our program and to really bring an insight to the game of football. My dad has always been known as a name dropper, but he can back it up. He knows some big-time people and has coached in some big-time games and big-time environments. And I think, one year some people, like to poo-poo about the junior high coach, but I think that's where football is really first learned, is at that level. And I know Dad went 5 years one time without losing a game. And his kids that he coached in those 5 years today would still take a bullet for him. And that means a lot to me, and I think he's going to have an absolute blast being able to just give his insight on the game of football. You may have to put a red buzzer. That means, hey, next play, because he may talk about the previous play 4 plays ahead. So anyway, but he's going to love it, and I'm excited, and I appreciate you guys reaching out to him.
Coach, a couple of quick questions for you here. First of all, having the opportunity last year to call a few Brewer games, it felt like the kids really came out fired up in every game. We started with their hair on fire, a fire in their belly, and as the game went on, it kind of felt like they kind of dwindled on that a little bit, got tired. I know that speaks a little bit to conditioning. What have you done this offseason to kind of work on that a little bit? I know you weren't here last year to see that in person, but I'm sure it's been addressed, and you're working on that now. What are you doing? And two, if the schedule's right here, you got your first, out of 4 games, you got 3 games at home to start the season. What is it going to mean to you guys to get off to a fast start in your 3 home games to get the year going before you hit a 3-game stretch on the road?
Well, I think the most important thing, I can look back over, some of our teams that made deep playoff runs at Gardendale. We had back-to-back quarterfinal teams. And, people always like to say, and I'm going to kind of answer this question the right way. Coaching at Gardendale, we had Clay, Chalkville, Pinson Valley, and Minor all in our region. We were the 4th most talented team. But somehow we won 5 playoff games in a 5-year time period, and we always made the playoffs, either as the 2 seed or the 3 seed. We developed depth. And one thing, these kids don't lack the energy. They don't lack the want to. These guys right here, they're going to play hard. But any successful program, you got to build depth because you're going to have an injury. You're going to have things. That's part of football. I think I've only experienced one time in my life, and that was 2004 as a graduate assistant coach at Pittsburgh State in Kansas. We played 15 games, went all the way to the national championship game against Valdosta State, and we didn't have a single injury on the defensive side of the ball. The only injury we had on the whole team was a turf toe. But because we had a stellar backup quarterback in Andy Majors, we're able to overcome those things. So, you know, really it's been about depth, and our players have responded to that. They understand that, hey, the more people we have, and going back to, you know, Michael's question about my dad liked to always play a lot of players. He didn't like to focus the team around 7 or 8 guys. He really tried to play every player he had in the first half, because at halftime, the halftime speech goes a whole lot better when everybody's engaged. Everybody's been a part of it. And so our kids have really bought into that attitude and that mentality that everybody's going to have a role, whether it be kickoff coverage, punt return, maybe you're a third down guy. You know, we're going to need to create a specialty, you know, for everybody. And our kids have really bought into that, so we've almost doubled our roster. You know, we move forward with an attitude, but, you know, it's not these guys' fault. I think the 18 and the 19 season, they had big senior classes. And then that 20 season, there was only 4 guys that had a driver's license on last year's roster. So these guys had all the energy and want to. That's a tough situation. They played hard. But when you're playing teams that had some bigger senior classes, you know, that's what's going to take over in the second half is depth. And so us addressing that and our kids really understanding and, hey, we have to have depth, you know, week 8, week 9, when we're competing for a region championship and competing for that playoff spot, we're going to have an injury here or there. We've got to have a next man up attitude, and we have to be able to prepare people in practice. That's everything. And these kids have bought into that. And that's the number one reason why we will be competitive as a program is because of depth.
Coach, thanks a lot. Thanks, guys, for coming with the coach today, and we wish you the best. 3 weeks from tomorrow night, I believe you open with Danville at home.
Got it. We're fired up and excited. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks. And that wraps us up today, folks. There's food in the back. I think.